Got a Palworld video today, guys. That's right, Palworld, the investment of the century, taking the trading card world by storm. You guys asked for it, you've got it. Palworld investing right here, guys. Now, I want to start this video off with a few caveats and disclaimers. This video is not going to hate on Palworld. This video is not going to tell you that Palworld is going to zero. That is as dumb of a take as saying Palworld is going to $1 billion. Nobody knows what Palworld is going to do. So the folks saying it's a great investment, kind of dumb. The folks saying it's going to zero, kind of dumb. It's not going to do either one of those things. It's going to land somewhere in the middle. But what I will say is, while I'm not going to hate on Palworld in this video, I am going to hate on the people of Palworld in this video. You know, they say, don't hate the person, hate the idea. Well, in the trading card world, it's much easier to hate the person. Not literally. I don't hate anybody. But it's we're kind of in a clown show right now, ladies and gentlemen. So Palworld, for those of you who don't know, it's Pokemon with guns, and that's how they actually pitched it a couple years ago when it came out as a video game. And, I just want to say it's a fun game for sure, but when you describe yourself, when you pitch yourself using a successful IP, and then you add the word with guns to it, it doesn't paint a picture that you have any essence. There's no meat to the product. You can't just take something that's already successful, add guns to it, and then go, yeah, this is a lasting idea. That's just an opinion. But they have a trading card game now, and I want to go through a few little facts and figures with you guys. Palworld, the TCG, it just released the other day, but it's been available for pre-order for MSRP since February. February is when this came available to everybody, distributors, stores, people that could pre-order from stores. This thing's been out for what might as well be 10 years in the trading card world. February was a millennia ago. And so what really bothers me, because like I said, we're hating on people and not the product, what really grinds my gears is the amount of commenters, mostly. The comments in my last post were nauseating, and we'll talk about those. But also all these investment YouTubers who are like, oh yeah, this is a fantastic investment, and they bought it at $100 or $150 or even $80. And I'm like, man, if you really believed it was a good investment, if you actually believed in the product, where the were you from February to July? Genuine question. It's been available for months. This is not a new product. And, while we're hating on people, I said I don't actually hate people, but I do hate some people. Here's the people I hate. My competitors at tons of LGS locations, both online and IRL, they sold pre-orders at $40, $50, $60. And then as soon as Palworld went to $150, $200, these clowns canceled their pre-orders and relisted the product. I was watching an Alpha Investments video, he says this, and this happens with Pokemon all the time, or it did back when, people sold at MSRP. And guys, I'm gonna be completely real with you. If you sell a product at a price and then you cancel it and sell it at a higher price, that is theft. That is failure to provide a service that was promised. That is a literal crime, and at some point, someone is going to sue you for damages. I promise you, that is a literal crime. It is a breach of contract. If you take someone's money for price X, you made a promise for price X, if you refund their money and sell it at price Y, you are breaching contract, and you are 100% vulnerable to an actual lawsuit. It's going to happen. I digress. Palworld was available for $40, and every YouTuber and commenter I've seen that is pitching this as a fantastic investment play bought it at market price. So I'm curious if they think it's a good product because of the product, or if they think it's a good product because of the price. Because here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, when you invest in a product, because of the price point it's increased at, and you don't invest in the product because of the quality of the item itself, that is basically buying a meme coin that is printed on paper instead of printed in pixels. You are just high risk speculating, and that's fine. I think for a lot of folks, high risk speculating, it's a great way to make money. There will be people who, maybe not with Palworld, but with some future TCG, who make a shitload of money buying it at market price even after the pump and still make a ton of money. It will happen. It might be Palworld, it might not be, but please, ladies and gentlemen, do not get it twisted. If someone is pitching a product after it 4 or 5x'd in price and they bought it halfway through that pump, they never believed in the product. They are jumping on the bandwagon, and more than likely, not guaranteed, but more than likely, they are the suckers who the smart people are dumping the product on. There's a very good chance the money's already been made here. Interrupting this broadcast for a non-paid ad read, guys. If you want to destroy PSA $1 at a time, the grading company you want to use is Premier Card Grading. That's PCG. If you watch Rudy from Alpha Investments, he's a big part of that. With code POKENE, you can destroy PSA $1 at a time with a $17.95 standard grade, guys. $17.95 gets you your card within 4 weeks, and yeah, and it gets me a little affiliate commission too. So go to Premier Card Grading, link in description, use code POKENE. Let's take down those bastards. Ladies and gentlemen, and this is true with any high-risk stock, high-risk crypto. It's like when the average person starts talking about it, it's probably too late. And again, I say probably, and I please take that word literally. I'm not saying Palworld's going to zero. Again, that's a silly claim to make. And I see people doing that too. It's all a meme, it's going to zero. That's just as silly of a take. But I don't believe anyone right now who's like pitching this as a good idea. And it's funny because we see this pattern over and over again. And honestly, at this point, I want to know where all the people, shilling for One Piece went. Because when that was a controversial investment, I think it's a lot more stable now. Now when One Piece products come out, they're stable. They don't it's not crazy volatility. It sticks around MSRP plus or minus $40, $60. But the main argument for folks that were, going high risk into One Piece when the market price was super high, the main argument I heard was how strong the IP was, how much history there was, how the story was, the amount of named characters. And I learned a lot about One Piece in those comments. There's over 1,000 named characters. Obviously, it's, I think, 30 years old or close to it. Dragon Ball, I think, is 40 years old. They were pitching the IP as a reason why the trading card game would be successful. And I made a counter argument that the power of the IP does not necessarily translate to a good trading card game. But I will say, the power of an IP translating to a good trading card game is a lot more enticing to me than the amount of downloads a game had on Steam. Palworld has been downloaded, I think, like 30 million times on Steam. That's fantastic. That's very impressive. But ladies and gentlemen, Angry Birds has 10x that. Angry Birds has 300 million downloads. Minecraft, I think, has billion purchases now. And so if you're going to use this logic, it is a fallacy to only make it work for your argument. If the logic is a good download rate equals good TCG, well then you have to tell me with a straight face that you would invest in Angry Birds TCG, and I truly don't believe you would. You have to tell me with a straight face that you would go to the top 10 games on Steam right now. If you can tell me with a straight face that you would invest in a TCG for any one of those 10 games, I wouldn't necessarily believe that was a good idea, but I'd at least take your argument more seriously. And I said the same thing about the IP power. One Piece is not even in the top 10 IPs out there, by the way. It's like number 30. There's way more powerful, way more profitable IPs out there. And I said the same thing with those. I'm like, okay, if that's your argument, I would believe that you believe that's true if you would unironically tell me that you would invest in a Barbie TCG or a Hello Kitty TCG. Maybe you would. And in that case, I don't necessarily think that's a good idea, but I at least look at your argument as more respectable. Palworld, a lot of the Palmon, I found out just literally today that the Pokemon of Palworld are called Palmon. Did not know that. And I think what's concerning, and I'm going to go on a limb here. I have no facts or figures to back this up, but I'm going to go on a limb and say that the average Palworld investor did not know that the creatures in Palworld are called Palmon. There's no way to prove that, but if you're someone that's been talking about Palworld, you know whether or not you knew that fact. And I am confident that there's folks that are going heavy bags into this that don't even know what the Palmon are called. They don't know the name of these creatures. A lot of these creatures, and this is not speculation, this is fact, were designed with parts of Pokemon combining with other parts of Pokemon. There are creatures in the Palworld universe where they have like Scorbunny ears combined with, you know, an Ivysaur bulb or something. Like, it is a damn near carbon copy of Pokemon with guns. And I'm not here to hate on Palworld. The game is fun. They outdid Pokemon. I think Palworld games are more fun to play than Pokemon. I'm not hating on it, but there's no essence. I have not seen evidence that people are going deep into this realm other than, oh, it's worth $200 now, I'm going to make a video on it. There are folks that are fans of Palworld that bought in at $40 because they truly enjoy the game and they truly believed in it. I don't necessarily think that's a great investment. I don't believe that Palworld is going to be a huge success, but I at least respect those people who just bought the game. And by the way, can we talk about why every trading card game now has to be like a freaking stock? Like, why does every trading card game need to be investable? I mean, it doesn't seem that outrageous for the if there's a new, you know, box art for Connect 4 or Monopoly or something, I don't see why investing in the newest Connect 4 or Trouble, I don't see why that would be any different than investing in the latest trading card game. I genuinely don't. They are games, ladies and gentlemen. Like, Pokemon is investable, not because it's a trading card game, but because it has 30 years of history and a lot of the products are impossible to get now, you know, in the market. Same with Magic. Like, these are games that have decades of history and they're investable because of that. And now the newest products, for better or for worse, people believe that they will do well in the future based on the previous products. But these brand new games that are coming out, you know, people are buying them to invest in, and they don't even know anything about the product. They don't know anything about the universe. I saw someone unironically on Reddit, on like r/Poke investing, and they had a screenshot of a first edition base set Pokemon box and a screenshot of the new Palworld box. And they're like, Pokemon first edition selling for $350,000 right now. Give me an argument Palworld won't in 30 years. I mean, these people are real, ladies and gentlemen. These are real people. And there were people in the comment section that were like, yeah, that makes sense. We are in a clown world right now. 30 years ago, people bought Pokemon because they liked the IP. They liked the characters. They believed in the product. They didn't buy it because they could flip it for 4x MSRP. In fact, you couldn't flip it for anything. I mean, you'd break even if you were lucky. Like, the reason why the first edition base set booster box and every other booster box, you know, up until this year, the reason why they were so successful is because most people that bought the product opened the product. They used the product. The reason why people are paying, you know, $200,000 for a Skyridge box is because people bought it and opened it, and there's not a lot of them left on the market. Nowadays, people are buying these brand new TCGs because they think that'll happen again. That's not how it works. It's mind-numbing to me, and I think what's tragic is these folks, they're going to disappear and no one will talk about it again. You know, we saw this with MetaZoo a little bit. It was like this, I don't want to call it a pump and dump because there's no proof that that was the intention. Like, MetaZoo could have been a very well-intentioned card game. But we saw this. We see this time and time again. And there will be a lightning in a bottle moment where a new card game does prove to be a good investment. And Palworld might be that card game. Like I've said in the past. It's just like, I call bullshit on all these folks that jumped on the bandwagon after it was $200. You have to ask yourself, ladies and gentlemen, would you be simping for this if it never exceeded MSRP? Would you even know about it if it never exceeded MSRP? Because, again, Palworld came out in February, ladies and gentlemen. It wasn't released yet, but it became available on the market in February. And I have no stats or figures, but you as the listener, I'm going to put the responsibility, I'm going to put the onus on you, because there's no responsibility in this country anymore. Would you, if you are talking about Palworld as a good investment, would you as a commenter or a YouTuber, would you be talking about it right now had it never exceeded $50? If yes, you know in your heart, you can give yourself a pat on the back. If no, you know in your heart the answer is no, and you can be angry at me that I'm pointing out the truth, but ultimately, you know the truth. And I'm not here to hate on this product. I genuinely am not. In fact, I hope it succeeds beyond anyone's expectation. I hope more people buy the next Palworld set than the next Pokemon set, because the more eyes on Palworld right now, the more money going into Palworld, the less money going into Pokemon, which means I can buy more of it. I would love Palworld to take a good chunk of the Pokemon market share this year and even next year, because in my brain, could be wrong, but in my brain, Palworld will not stand the test of time. It'll be gone within 3 years. Or I think less, but it'll be gone within a few years. That is a fantastic opportunity for folks who are long-term investing in IPs that have history. It'll be a great time for them to use the money on something better. So genuinely, I'm not a hater. I'm really not. I hope Palworld succeeds beyond anyone's wildest dreams, because it just opens up the door for Pokemon. And, you know, I don't know if this is obviously a rant ramble video, so I might be repeating myself a little bit, but if you're someone who is buying one box, you've got $200 laying around, you want to risk it for the biscuit, buy a box of Palworld at $200. At worst, the floor is probably $40. So, like, at worst, you're going to lose $150, in which case, open it, and you lost $150. People spend $150 on a t-shirt, on a pair of shoes. That's not a big deal. You know, I don't think spending $200 on Palworld is like, who gives a shit? You lose $200. And then on the other side of the line, there's the folks that are super wealthy individuals. They have a ton of money. They want to allocate their funds in a million different things. Safe investments like Apple and Tesla. Slightly riskier investments like Magic and Pokemon. And then super risky investments like cryptos and maybe Palworld. You know, if you're one of those wealthy individuals, I don't think it's silly to throw a couple $1,000s into Palworld. I don't think that's a silly thing at all, because you've got enough money where, you know, you put enough money in enough things, one of them might take off, and then great, good for you. It's the people in the middle that, you know, I really want to caution. Be aware of what you're getting into. Be aware that you're investing in something that's as highly speculative as the average crypto. And be aware that if you're doing this because of your favorite YouTuber, or you're doing this because of a Reddit thread, or because of a comment you saw on a video or a live stream, be aware that if you're buying this product because of one of those reasons, you are either highly risky or you're a Timmy who is going to get hosed. Because there's a lot of folks who are going to buy this by the case at $200, and all you're doing is you're someone else's bag unloader. You are someone's someone's venue to unload bags so they can buy an actual investment that will be not G-word guaranteed, but a lot more likely to do well in the future. And if you're somebody that goes from TCG to TCG, you've gone from Pokemon to One Piece to Riftbound, maybe you stopped in MetaZoo for a little while, and now you're in Palworld. Like, I hope to God that you're buying and holding these things and not selling them at a loss. Oh, okay, I should say buying and holding these things or selling them for a profit, even a break even. I really hope you're in that camp and you're not selling each thing at a loss to buy into the next thing at market price. I really hope that's not you. You see that within the confines of Pokemon, by the way. Like, the people that were going heavy bags into Prismatic, then moved all their money to Destined for a little bit, and then they moved all their money to Ascended Heroes, and now they're moving all their money into the 30th anniversary. And, like, if you're able to go from thing to thing and profit on thing to thing, like you get in at MSRP or slightly above, like, if you're able to do that, good for you. That's awesome. Like, I think that's fun. You're taking your time. Maybe you're enjoying the process. I love that. I love that for you. That's awesome. But I know, based on collections that I've been offered, people are buying something near market price, selling it at 80% or even like 85% after eBay fees, and then using that money to buy the next thing at market price. And like, you're losing every single time. That's just in the confines of Pokemon. And I'm just like, this is why people stay broke. And I'm using broke as a word. Everything's semantics, but to me, there's a difference between broke and poor. Poor is it is a systemic situation. Poor is a more long-term situation people are in, many times not because of their actions. It's a situation folks are in because of health, or it doesn't matter. You guys know what poor means. Broke, in my definition and the way I'm using it, is folks that have every opportunity to be at least stable and comfortable financially and do stupid shit with their money. If you go broke, in my use of the word, it's because you're spending it on high risk assets that go to zero, or you're spending it on shoes or watches or cars that you can't actually afford. And this is the mindset of why so many people are broke. And it's traumatizing. It's so concerning to me how many folks are in that camp. The amount of people right now that are buying Palworld actively at market price and doing it on a buy now pay later service like Klarna or Affirm, it is staggering. It's absolutely concerning. Like, there are people out there selling at a loss in Pokemon or Magic and then buying the difference using a buy now pay later. Absolutely horrifying right now. And while we're discussing Palworld, let's talk about the next set. Palworld Set 2 comes out, I think, in October. And, there's a couple ways this is going to go. Number one, the Palworld folks at Bushy Road see all the successful sales and they print a shitload of Set 2. So much so that distributors or vendors and distributors get super overwhelmed and they fire sell it just like they did box or Set 1. And it floods the market, and Set 2 is MSRP or lower. And then that dominoes to Set 1 being panic sold. People lose faith in it because no one actually has faith in it. And then it all goes to MSRP or lower. That's, one potential scenario. Scenario 2, they print Set 2 at a small print rate to keep the hype alive and the buzz moving. That would be the smart move, but it's not the likely move in my opinion. But maybe that's what they decide to do. And the hype continues, and maybe that's how a lot of folks are going to end up doing really well with Palworld. That would be great. Another scenario is they not only do Set 2, but they also reprint the shit out of Set 1. And if they decide to make changes between the original print and the new print, that might be enough. Just a unlimited, something minor might be enough to where Set 1, print 1 stays super high, and Set 1, print 2, maybe it's good, maybe it's not. Or they do the stupidest thing, scenario 3 or 4, where they print the shit out of Set 1 and they don't really differentiate it from the original print, and there's just a shitload on the market, and vendors panic and sell it all, and then they flood the market, and everything, doesn't go to zero, but goes back to MSRP. Set two's cooked, and then there's a lot of scenarios that can happen. And what I would say for suggestions on investability, because Palworld could be a very investable set. If you can get it at MSRP, I personally would buy Palworld set 2 at MSRP, or like 50, 60 bucks. I personally would do that. That to me is a small enough amount of dollars where I would feel comfortable taking that risk on, especially because I have such an easy way to offload it. I've got 80,000 people in my email list. I've got a website. I've got a following of over 100,000 people between all my accounts. I would feel comfortable buying them at $50, $60. I think the average person, not a bad move. Because at worst, you're probably going to break even. Maybe you lose, 10, 20% on fees. I think it's a worthwhile investment. A worthwhile risk. But man, like, the folks buying set 1 at 150, 200, I mean, you've heard the video, rewind it. I just really hope you know what you're getting into, because there's a very good chance the folks that convince you to do this don't actually believe in the product. So set 2, time will tell. I'm personally a buyer at 50 bucks. I think it's worth the risk at 50 bucks. And we might see Palworld doing very well for the next several sets. We might see it being doing well for years. But as soon as the free tendies of flipping it for triple or quadruple, as soon as that ends, I think Palworld is going to not die, but I think it's going to fade into obscurity, where your favorite Palworld investor bro is already moved on to the next TCG, which there will be another one. There will be an Angry Birds TCG that all of a sudden everyone's a fan of Angry Birds. So in conclusion, I made a video like this already where I was very negative against Palworld, and I think that was a bad take, so I deleted that video. I didn't even post it on YouTube. I deleted it from my phone. I think folks that are overly negative towards new things, I think, it's a fallacy to be overly negative because something is new. I think that's dumb. I think that's a dumb take. But I just got to call out the bullshit, guys. There's a lot of bullshit on YouTube right now, and Reddit. Commentors, Reddit posters, YouTubers, there's a lot of bullshit right now. And just be aware of when people bought, what they believe, and how much they know about the IP that they're investing in, because there's a very good chance that these folks don't know shit. Buy my stuff at PokeAny.com. Let me know if you would buy Palworld from my website. I have no way to get it at distribution, and I'm not buying it at market price. I think it's very foolish. I think it's very risky. I think it's foolish, I'll be honest. I think it's a stupid move. But I think buying most cryptos is a stupid move, and people still make money on it. So let me know what you think about Palworld in the comments. Buy my stuff at PokeAny.com, and grade your Palworld cards at Premier Card Grading. That's Rudy Alpha Investments card grading company. Use code PokeAny. It'll get you Palworld slabs for $17.95. 4-week turnaround time. He is grading Palworld cards, so go make your bag. Have a wonderful day.